Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to show you how to easily integrate Crystal reports into your Angular application using the Crystis library. Whether you're new to Angular or just looking for a quick and reliable way to display Crystal reports, this tutorial is for you. We'll build a small app that displays user data and prints it using a Crystal report. Let's start by creating a brand new Angular project for our demo. First, we use the Angular CLI to create the project. This will set up a fresh Angular application. You can choose the default options when prompted. This part may take a minute or two, so we'll skip ahead to when it's ready. Once the project is created, we go into the project folder. Now, we install the Crystis Angular library, which is what we'll use to display Crystal reports inside our Angular application. That's it for the initial setup. Next, we'll start adding code to display some data and generate the report. Now that the setup is complete, let's open the project in Visual Studio Code. We use the command code. This opens the current folder, our Angular project, directly in Visual Studio Code, so we can start editing the files right away. Visual Studio Code is now open, and here we can see the structure of our new Angular project. On the left, we have the Explorer panel, which shows all the files and folders in the project. The main files we'll be working with are inside the SRC app folder. This is where our application code lives. We'll also use the public folder later to store our report files. Let's start by modifying the main component to display a table and connect it to the Crystal Reports viewer. Before we move on, we need to make a small but important change to our Angular application. Open the file source app.module.ts. Here, we need to import the HTTP client module from Angular's common HTTP package. So add this line at the top of the file. And then, include it in the imports array like this. This step ensures our app can communicate properly with the backend to retrieve reports. Next, let's open the file source app.component.html. This file contains the default template for the root component of our app. For now, we'll replace all the existing code with a simple placeholder so we can start fresh. This gives us a clean starting point before we add our custom table and the report viewer. Now that we've cleaned up our starting point, let's run the app to make sure everything is working so far. Go to the terminal, run nung serve. This will compile the project and start a local development server. After a few seconds, your browser should be able to open to http://localhost:4200, and you'll see our simple message. This means everything is working correctly so far. Let's move on and start building our table and connecting the report. Now, let's add a simple table to display some sample data and a button to trigger our Crystal report. In app.component.html, add the following code. This will display a table of users with their ID, name, town, and country. The print button at the bottom will later be used to show our Crystal report. In the next step, we'll add the logic in our component TypeScript file to define the data and make the report viewer work. We'll prepare our component to load some sample data when the app starts. First, we need to use Angular's onInit lifecycle interface. So let's update the import at the top of app component to include onInit, like this. Then, update the class definition to implement onInit. This tells Angular we want to run some code automatically when the component initializes. In next steps, we'll use that to load our sample data into the table. Now, let's import the Crystal service from the Crystis library. This service will handle sending our data to the Crystal Reports viewer. Add this line just below the other imports at the top of App Component. We'll use this service later when the user clicks the Print button to show the report. Now, let's declare the data we'll be working with. First, we add a variable called CJSON string, which we'll use to store our data in JSON format before sending it to the report. Then, we define an array called users. Each user will have an ID, name, town, and country. We'll use this array to populate both the table in our HTML and the Crystal report. In the next steps, we'll fill this array with some sample data when the component initializes. Now we add a constructor and inject the Crystal service into it. This lets us access the Crystal reporting features anywhere in the component. Later, when the user clicks the Print button, we'll use this service to send the data and open the report. Now, in the ngOwnInit method, we'll populate the users array with some sample customer data. This will be displayed in the table on the page and also used in the Crystal report. Each object we push into the array includes an ID, name, town, and country, just like our table headers. Next, we define the showReport method, which will be called when the user clicks the Print button. Then, we pass this data to the Crystis library by setting a few properties. JSON string is the serialized data. To code is the account code you get automatically when you log into our site, siteknower.com. To code is the user code, also assigned at login. If your account has multiple users, use the code for the one who owns the report. For this demo, we're using demo1 as the account code and 0000 as the user code. TRPT file path is the path to the .rpt file, which we'll place in the public /reports folder. Finally, we call showReport from the Crystis library to display the report in a new browser tab. If we try to print the report now, we'll get an error saying, File Customer Report 1 RPT does not exist. That's expected. We haven't added the actual Crystal report file yet. So, let's fix that. First, go to the src/assets folder, right-click, and create a new folder named Reports. Then, right-click the Reports folder and choose Reveal in File Explorer. Now, paste the Crystal report file you created earlier, in our case it's called Customer Report 1 RPT, into this folder. This report should already be designed to work with data in the same format we're using here, a list of users with ID, name, town, and country. Once the report is in place, go back to the browser and click Print again. This time, the report should open and display the data correctly. You'll find the full code in the GitHub link below the video, so you can try it yourself.